So welcome back. Uh, so we were discussing about the stages of disease. So we covered up to inflammation. Inflammation two. When inflammation is also suppressed, then the body tears up the skin internally or externally and throws the toxin out of the skin. So here the examples are any kind of wound that you see internally, externally are the forms of ulcerations. So those are detoxification by the bodies because skin is the largest detoxifying organ of the body. So which actually detoxifies the body continuous basis. But sometimes because of the imbalance within the body, sometimes the normal elimination is not substantiated. That time the body starts throwing it from the skin predominantly, and the experience of toxin is irritating and it may burn the toxin at times. So that wound is because of the toxic effect which is coming. It's not a skin disease per se, it's actually detoxification that is happening. So that is what is the ulceration. Now ulceration is also suppose applied with some kind of suppressive initiative, maybe through herbs or through medicines, chemicals. So then it gets hardened and it starts forming stones within the body. That's called hardening and stonification or hardening. That's also, you see, here also we see the intelligence of the body and the kind of protective knack of the body towards the body, because it is the rule of the existence. Always it is trying to protect the best of the interest for the body. So the hardening happens. If the hardening is also fingered, the biopsy is done. And biopsy is the primary reason of getting someone into cancerous stage, which is fungation. And this stage is considered as the toxin is spreading in the body. So now the body is realizing that it is now perishable because it has undergone a repeated suppression. So it's better to perish. Yesterday we discussed about the threshold of the pain. So if the body is not perished, then the body will experience some level of pain which is unthinkable. So it is body's decision at that moment to perish the body. So that way it starts moving. Now the reversal can happen if those red arrows are removed, nothing else, no extra initiative is needed. Then the body is already structured to reverse, and the reversal happens in the same order. Fungation to hardening, hardening to ulceration, inflammation, irritation, and further. So this is also a beautiful journey if we understand that whatever extra that we are doing, if we stop that, what the basic instinct is, if we are continuing with that, because other than that we cannot sustain. So if we are continuing with that without doing the extra things means P3 dominated things, P3 P2 loop dominated, rather not P3 dominated alone, but P3 P2 dominated things. So let's try and understand.
Kalyan, here can we understand if taking medicine is P3, P2?
Yes, with a goal of bringing a cure, where the cure is the knack of the body. So we need not to do something extra to bring cure. The body is structured to heal. What is a healing? Healing means something which is coming without any condition. If something special is bringing healing, then it is a pseudo healing. It is not actual healing. Like we understood, a conditional perception is not a perception which can look at the truth. So healing is a whole operation. Yeah.
So when you say that, taking the medicine or even eating fruits for that matter with a goal to heal
Yes. That's a conditioning.
is a conditioning um, which is saying that I have set this as an objective, that I have to heal, and this is what is going to help me heal this.
Yes, yes. And I will actually create a P3, P2 loop within me and continue considering fruits as a sacrifice. I'll not be able to look at the truth.
So Kalyan, I was in a stage where, like, it's experiential moment, right? Like, okay, fruits is a treatment. Okay, I don't like it because this is a pain to me. My P3 was different, but I was executing a different P1 because there is a goal in my mind to heal my health, right? Then slowly, my by acting on the P1, which is unwillingly, then I see that, my P2 P3 changes, my sensory, and then the P3 changes. Now cooked food is more of a against my P3 now, right? If I eat a cooked food, it's against P3. But I am not having a goal of the time for heal, or maybe like in a form of preserving my energy, you can say, whatever way. Is this a natural transition, or it's still considered as a kind of forced one, initially
Yes.
forced?
Yeah. So that could be the journey for everyone. But if you are identifying that it has dropped and genuinely dropped, then definitely it's an inquiring transformation. If you are not having any goal, because the body has got its default goal of healing, we need not to put an effort to emphasize it. Body is already structured to emphasize. So just the body needs to be left alone. And that living alone can only be possible when we are agendaless. If you are sensing agendalessness, then that could be considered as inquiring state of mind. I'm not sure.
Going,
I cannot say on your behalf. You also cannot confirm, perhaps. It's always a doubtful state.
Yeah. And going back also changes person to person, timelines, what they experience, all.
Yeah, that's the uniqueness. That's the uniqueness in nature. Yeah, so we'll start the part 2. Yeah, Vibha, you want to say something?
So like Shilpi was saying that taking medicines is P3, P2. So it is essentially, the understanding is that it's stagnated perception that medicines can heal, and from that, an action
before that, the framework is that the healing can be possible from outside. Healing can be, so medicine is not a substance, medicine is a philosophy. Like, see, we try and convince ourselves with the lies, considering that truth. Like Ram, while describing his initial state of being, he said that I know that I don't like fruits, which is a lie. Actually, he likes fruits, but he has been conditioned to not like fruits, because that's a basic instinct. And he also knows that without modifying, he cannot eat anything but fruits. So
more than not liking fruits, I would say it was more of, I considered that as a treatment, like a medicine, and I have to go sometime, and so that was like, avoid your pleasure, which was the cooked food taste.
Yeah,
that was,
and which is not an actual pleasure, which is
Correct,
not,
correct.
because the
That
body
is-
is not enjoying it.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
was
my
my
mind
pattern
is
from my
enjoying.
that was a pattern from my childhood.
Yeah.
So that was my childhood P3, right? It's always, this is how humans should live, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
then how can I miss that when the whole world is doing that? How can I miss that? Was the aversion towards the fruit.
Yes. Yes.
It's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kalyan,
So,
But sorry, but that the body is not enjoying it is obvious only when we have been able to notice it. Often we're not able to notice that the body is not enjoying it
yeah, yeah.
because
So we
you've been
continue
doing
with conditioning. We continue with conditioning, considering that conditioning is a natural thing. Otherwise, we are not structured to continue with an unnatural ingestion. We are not. We are not structured. It's just a confusion, and that confusion is nothing but P3P2 loop. Yes, Manisha ma'am.
Kalyan sir, I'm seeing a flower and I'm seeing a cactus here.
Yeah.
And I can't feel the same love for both. And I'm asking myself, is
Yes.
it conditioning that I'm feeling so much love for that purple flower? And I can't feel the same love for that cactus. Is it
Yeah.
conditioning? My mind and flower is beautiful, cactus
Yeah,
is not.
let's inquire that. Let's inquire that. It's, what is the physical truth of a cactus and of a flower? The flower, so it has got light, sound, smell, taste, and touch. It has a color. That color could be a luring color. Physically, you get attracted to some colors
Yes.
because of his soothingness. Some shades
Correct.
of green also can be liked. Some shades of reds can be liked because of the soothing impact on the eyes physically.
Yes. The sensation the flower is creating naturally because of the soothingness of the color
Yes.
is
a
yeah.
physical sensation. Is a physical sensation.
Yeah.
Now you see there is no sound per se from the flowers or the cactus, but there would be a smell. Now the smell also conducive smell and non-conducive smell. So the flower has a conducive smell, which actually allows you to ingest it. So these are the physical truth. Then the touch, the softness.
Ingest it in the
Through the nostril.
smell,
Through the nostril.
nostril.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And the touch ingestion is, if you touch something soft, you accept that touch. If it is harsh, like cactus, you don't accept it. So physical differences are uniqueness. But if you bring an extra love towards flower and hatred towards cactus, that comes from the P3P2 domain, P3P2 loops. Because it's an image that created appreciation, extra appreciation, psychological appreciation. It's not about the physical touch thing. So this is actually rejection of fact that cactus must not be there. The flower should be there.
So, Kalyan, my contention is no hatred for the cactus. It's a neutral emotion, but there is love for the flower that I'm experiencing.
That's what you need to observe.
Joy. So
no, that means you are saying that I don't have love towards cactus.
In comparison of when the two are there.
Yes, because you are bringing comparison. You are bringing comparison when you are looking at cactus. You are not looking afresh on the cactus. Your eyes are not going to the cactus afresh. You are looking at the cactus in comparison with the flower.
So if I just look at the flower, I will feel love. If I just look at the cactus.
Yes. That is what is love. That is what is the attention. That is what is the inquiry. All are synonyms. When you are inquiring, then you are full with love. And you are with the moment fresh every moment. Right? Yeah, so let's start and go ahead with the further portion. So we will today we'll be covering separation of conflicts, then a natural dissolution of conflicts. So how actually the things have started already. We are discussing that separation of conflict and how the conflicts are structured to dissolve by itself. So there is no initiative needed to dissolve a conflict. Conflict is unnatural and it is ought to dissolve by itself. Then we'll also understand the innate knack of inquiry, because inquiry is a state of being where there is no initiative planned. The action flows as the perception happens, and there is no difference between deep perception, inquiring perception, and action. And there will not be any load on the pre or the post action. There is no pride or remorse and carrying forward of the action. The impact of action is finished with the action. And that leads us to the understanding of agendalessness. The inquiry cannot be with agenda. If it has an agenda, then you are not genuinely interested in truth. You are interested in fulfillment of the agenda, not the truth. So that needs to be understood. So we'll explore that together. And then separation of inquiry. Similarly, with the conditioning, we suppress with the agenda or conditioning, whatsoever we say, we end up suppressing inquiry, and how it gets reinstated or awakening of inquiry. The capability is very much there innately for everyone to inquire. Just that because of the conditioned life, we are in a suppressed condition. So that needs that gets not needs to be, but that gets awakened when we look at it, observe it, and see the truth of it. So ultimately, we'll be also touching the points of observation of sensation, which we are discussing yesterday day long, and today also we are continuing. It's observation of P2, because P2 is the voice of the organism. It's a driver of life. And the source of P2 is very important. If the P2 is coming from P3, then it is a continuous overload on energy. If it is coming from P1, then it is a conservation of energy. It is an effortless, automated flow of life. So observing the route and the root of sensation. Right. So I saw a proposal from Viva in the group that if we can discuss also in different scenarios. I think today, since morning, we are discussing different scenarios. So ongoing, it's an open discussion. These are just incidentals. What are flashing on the screen as a statement, those are just incidental. We are actually in that flow. Isn't it not? Viva ma'am? Am I audible? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes, he's audible.
Okay. Yeah, so suppression of conflicts. How the suppression of conflicts happen? The planning is the key. Through planning, we end up suppressing a conflict. Even the plan to avoid a conflict is also a planning and is also a suppression. Because we must understand a condition cannot overcome another condition. We will be in the loops of condition. Now, the conditions are very fragile. It gets strengthened with the support of another condition whatsoever. So if we are trying to work on the condition for dissolving it, to dissolve it, that also becomes another condition. So as a framework, the knack of conditioning is supported with another condition. So the individual is never come out of conditioning. So that we need to understand that we most of the time what happens, we try to modify a specific action with a planning. We try to modify an action and we overemphasize on the action that I must do this to bring a change.
Can you give an example of this, like if possible?
Yeah, you pick up
I was
anything.
thinking,
Shilpita.
they like, taking a supplement.
Yeah, trying to solve the deficiency.
Yeah.
Whereas
there is a
the
concept.
body has got a transmuting capability and synthesizing capability, which is actually trying to compensate and overcome the deficiency whatsoever 24/7. Are you able to
So this
relate?
this is coming from my P3 that if I have
Yeah.
a deficiency, to take
Yeah.
medicine,
this,
and then I modify the action, right?
yes. So this here,
Instead of the nature of leaving it to my body,
yeah,
I'm trying to modify the action because of my strong P3, which says the statistics says there is a deficiency. Now you go ahead and fix it.
yes. So this intention is nothing but P3, the intention is nothing but P3. Then denying the sensation. Denying the sensation means any spicy food when we eat, we deny the actual sensation. We suppress it with some or other thing. You'll see that it is a pattern in houses. If the salt is more in a curry, then you mix some gur or sugar to overcome it. But the impact of that salt remains the same. We don't throw that curry. We ingest it, just we do a superficial change in the taste. That's a denial of the sensation with intention. With intention, because it is a lacuna of our perception. We don't see the facts. Because the body is going to disintegrate whatsoever food that we consume, and it will go back to the original thing, and the body will be impacted as it would have been impacted otherwise. So if the ingredients are wheat, potato, spices, and seed, then this will go back to that original state, and the physiological suffering will be there. The physiological impact, the sensation will be there, just that internally we don't have the sensory organs. That's why we do not consistently sense the pain, but the body undergoes a pain consistently. You just throw some sprinkle of salt on a wound, you will find the beauty of it. That's the identification, the toxin, the salts are toxin. But by morphing with P3, we actually bring P3, P2. Actually, this is intention is P3, P2, P3, P2. Calling it P3 only is confusing. So denial of sensation. Now intellectualizing perception. That intellectualizing perception means to justify our choices. To justify our choices, we make stories. We give excuses. We intellectualize things. And we name those as reasons. Are you able to observe it? We try to establish whatever is our choice, that is justified. Because this is so, this is so, this is so. That's not inquisition. Inquisition cannot go with something specific to prove. Inquisition cannot go with something specific to disprove. So intellectualizing perception is another way to escape a conflict, planned escape to conflict. So this is also P3, P2.
I was just thinking, say, keeping oneself busy all the time to avoid boredom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just thinking, can I
Boredom,
understand that?
boredom is a product of comparison, of some entertainment with the current moment. Boredom is a product of comparison. That means I am not looking at the current moment afresh. I am looking at like the cactus and flower example. So I'm looking at the particular moment under the influence of another particular moment. So I am not able to look at this moment and the beauty of it because I am under influence. And that comparison happens from the P3P2 loop. It's a P3P2 loop which actually mesmerized me with some specific entertainment, which I start considering that I am missing it at this moment. That's what is the boredom.
So can we just go back to the slide before and see how all are we escaping the conflict in say in this case? Keeping oneself busy.
So I am actually bringing the boredom, modifying the action with intention. So what are we doing when we are experiencing boredom? What are we are finding some specific act to sway the boredom.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
I'm not able to understand boredom. If I understand boredom, the root of the boredom, then perhaps that gets dissolved and I get realization that I am not attentive to this moment. I am focusing on a previous reference. That could be dissolved, but I don't do this. Instead of that, I am modifying some other action, modifying to some other action that if I engage myself, then my boredom will go off. The root of the boredom is now not addressed. I'm not looking at the boredom. I'm trying to escape the boredom. That is what is the modifying the action with intention, with a plan, with a goal. That boredom must not be there.
Yes.
Then denying the sensation. So whatever the effort that you take up to take that action may not be required at all for life. But you have taken that initiative and that takes whole lot of energy from you and that creates discomfort for you. But you overlook it. Deny that sensation, that discomfort, that to overcome my boredom, I must do this. So that's a toll on the sensation with an intention. The same thing is continuing. And then I'm justifying the act, saying that one must do something to get over the boredom. That is why I'm not doing something unnatural. But at the first place, why the boredom is there? The root cause of the boredom is a fixated image of how I should spend my moments. The root of the boredom lies in an image set in the mind on how I must spend a moment, which is absolutely a known fact, because you cannot plan a moment how it should be spent. It is an emergence of the moment. It is an unique experience of the life. So it will continue in its flow. We cannot plan a moment before itself.
Yes.
Right?
Wonderful. Yes, thanks.
So, natural dissolution of conflict. Understanding the natural movement is the key. You know, when we observe nature, we find that the homeostasis is a characteristic, primary characteristic of nature. The conflict, the imbalance is not the primary characteristic in nature. If you see the calamities are duration wise, it is minuscule. And when we deeply observe, we find the calamities is meant to resolve the arised conflicts. So the conflicts are actually naturally structured to get dropped. So that natural movement of conflict needs to be understood, needs to be observed. Keen observation is the key. If we observe the movement, the natural movement of conflict, we'll see that it's actually dissolving on its own. One need not to do it. It is structured to get dropped on by itself. And it has occurred to solve an emergence of conflict. So conflict is the dissolution of conflict in itself. Disease is actually healing. A problem is a solution in making. So the interpretation of something as a problem is myopic. So on the basis of an illusion of interpretation of problem, we feed ourselves to another concept of solution. That is where the conditioning comes in the repeating loop. You know, one lie will bring another lie, and another lie. So observing the outcome of conditional movement, this is also needs to be understood. When we are capturing a moment and movement both under a condition, then the condition becomes overpowering. The natural movement ceases. Natural movement ceases. Now the condition overpowers. So it can never happen.
Can we discuss this a little more, the last point?
Yes. When we put a condition, specific condition of the movement, that this movement must be like this. Whereas it is moving by itself. It has its own movement. Like, for example, putting a child in the school. Why? Because the intention is to make him educated. The perennial intention must be like this, that the child must get some education. Now the question is, the child is already structured to learn. Child is already structured to learn, and every moment she is learning. We may end up calling it that she is playing, but actually she is learning. She is exploring the world perennially, endlessly. Now I am bringing a condition on her learning path. The child is confused now. She is not attracted to the numbers, but I am imposing a number, learning of numbers, when she is interested in observing a leaf, when she is interested in just spending time agendalessly. So we are bringing a conditional movement, and the outcome is that we see around. The individual does IIT, then IIM, learn mechanical engineering, working in a bank, and then get confused, get frustrated, suicide, all these dramas. Because the loop is there, that framework is continued throughout the life. Now, one led a conditional life will propose condition only around. Well, one will not be able to understand unconditioned life if continues in the condition and denying the fact of condition. Considering condition as natural is the reason here to continue a condition. The moment we realize that this is a condition under which I am operating, then the condition drops. Because the condition is imaginary. The moment you look at it, know that a lie is lie, then why would I stick to it? Because we are structured to go ahead with the truth. That is the natural state of being. let's join back with 5 minutes of silence and continue for the last session of the morning hour.